All right, guys, so let's talk about realistic expectations in the gym. My numbers are mine. There's nobody that's exactly like me, nobody who's done the same things, walked in the same shoes. It's different for everybody. You can get a little bit of a gauge with it. I just want you to remember that before I ever started lifting competitively, I was a football player. I was a football player for almost 15 years, and that means I was in the gym a lot. I worked my ass off in the gym. As far as before Strongman, I think as senior in high school, I think I bench pressed 3 plates. That was huge to me. 3 plates, bench press, that was huge. No. I was over 3. I was working on 4. I did a negative with 4 plates. So negative is when people take the weight and they help lower it down and bring it back up so you could feel how much 4 plates feels like. So I remember doing one of those senior in high school. It's the most I'd ever done, but it was with assistance, obviously. I was squatting 4 plates and I was hang cleaning 4 plates. I didn't deadlift until Strongman. Junior college, I was strong. I remember we went to a combine and we did 185 bench press for reps, and I hit it 47 times. It might have been between 44 and 47, right there. It doesn't help for maximal strength, but my training back then wasn't maximal strength. I was training to be a football player. I was training to last 4 quarters and to be strong all the way through, which actually transfers to Strongman, which is why a lot of my training is still the same. First time I ever max deadlifted, it was the first day I ever tried Strongman. I hit a 340 log and I barely pulled 500 pounds on a deadlift. It was the ugliest, hardest pull of my life. It was 500 freaking pounds, and I weighed 350, 360 at the time. I just wasn't used to it, and it showed. It took me a long time to work that out and to get better and better. I went from that to a little less than a year later, I had that 400 kilos up on my quads I couldn't completely lock out. So I was pulling around like 380-ish, 380 kilos. And that jump right there, that's not normal. That jump from 500 to 800 pounds, that's insane in less than a year. That's not something you expect from someone on any level. But what had happened was I was learning a new lift. I was becoming a deadlifter rather than doing hang cleans and like pulling for my first time. I was used to pulling. I had gotten better at it. I had a little suit, you know. I didn't wear it on the day I competed because I was fat and I couldn't breathe in it. So, but anyways, I was becoming a deadlifter. My first time I yoked in competition was an 800-pound yoke, and I believe I got it somewhere around 25, 30 feet. It was a 50-foot show, and I didn't finish it. 330-pound farmers in that same show, and I think I picked it up and moved it like that far. Stones, Atlas stones, they were heavy. I think the first one was like 330, and I got to like 350 and missed every other stone. I couldn't pick up anything over 350. I don't even know if I got a 350. 340, 330 is more like it. I wasn't anywhere near where I needed to be, but all of my background in the gym, it became my stable, it became like the ground floor of my strength, what it was become. It all turned into, from the bench press and the squats and all the lunges and all the work on the field, it turned into axles and logs and yokes through repetition, light repetition. I would run a 500-pound yoke, 100 foot, take a minute, run it back. Take a minute, run it again. And I would just do it and do it and do it until my body started to feel comfortable with that weight across your shoulders, started to feel comfortable with my hips being forward and not driving with my knees, but shaking my hips back and forth and being stable underneath that bar. It's the strength that you have in the gym means nothing in strongman. Other than deadlift, it means nothing. What you have to be able to do is take that strength and use it with our implements. That's why our sport's special. We don't pick up normal things. We pick up refrigerators, safes, we pick up anvils, kegs, sandbags. You know, to be strong at that took me a while. I did progress much faster than most people. Most of the guys, when I got into the sport, there were guys who had been trying to get their pro card for years and years and years. And a lot of them weren't happy that it took me less than a year to get mine. I jumped in, I worked my ass off, and I got my pro card real quick. And it's, like I said, it's not typical, but if you have a background in athletics, if you've been a rugby player, if you've been a football player, even if you've played other sports, like if you were a soccer player but you used to work hard in the gym, if you were on the track team, you threw shot put, discus, that kind of stuff, if you work hard in the gym throughout your life, you will be more prepared than some bloke just walking off the street. And I said bloke for you Englishmen. Some guy just walking off the street and stepping in and saying he wants to be a strongman. You gotta know your own background. You have to know yourself. You gotta know your capabilities, and you gotta be smart about that. You don't go in and try and find your max deadlift and then next week try and find out what your max is that week. That's not how we do this. This sport will eat you alive if you're being smart. And if you're being stupid, you won't even get a chance. You'll be done before you even start. You gotta be smart to play the sport. We're big guys and everyone likes to play this like, oh, the big guy doesn't understand things. But you have to. If you want to end up walking 2 years from the time that you watch this, lift smart. If you're just starting out in strongman, you should definitely come in expecting to have gains. You want to get better. And if you're not getting better, you need to look at your coaching, at your nutrition, at your training, or everything that you're doing. If you're not getting better as a beginner, there's something wrong. When you get in, your stones, your deadlift, your yokes, everything should be increasing pretty rapidly. I'd say within a year, you should have a hefty increase on all your main lifts. You should have a healthier understanding of how to compete, how to use implements. If you're still fucking up with farmers the same way a year later after you fucked up with them that way the first time you touched them, you need to look back and figure out what you're doing wrong. This is a strongman sport, but you got to be smart man too. If you are an experienced strongman and you've been in the sport for years and you're strong, you've already worked hard, you're not going to have as many big gains. You need to be happy with the fact that you can hit a PR every time you compete, or every time you need to light it up for a show, you can hit in 90, 95 percentile. That's good. If you get increases of 5% in a year, that's a big gain for somebody who's been working hard for a long period of time. You might be able to find new little things that help you, like with Atlas stones, hand placement, or maybe another way to clean the log that actually saves you a little energy, or different shoes that make you press flat rather than pressing off your toes. There's things like that you'll feel a little nudge from, but for the most part, you're looking to be more efficient. Your strength is in efficiency. You don't want to have just big, strong shoulders. You want to have stable shoulders. You want to have shoulders that can press a heavy weight, but won't lose when it's as many reps as possible in 60 seconds. You want to be an all-around athlete. So, if you have any other questions or anything you would just like to say hello, drop a line right below where my penis is right now. And then I'll look at it and I'll be like, why would you be writing things below my penis? And then I'll try and respond.